Katherine, it's great to see you again.
You too.
Today we're going to be talking about how to teach employees to talk to their managers about compensation. However, before we get into that, I would like to know what your guiltiest pleasure is regarding TV that you've watched in the past couple weeks. Like, what's the trashiest TV you've watched?
Thinking. I would say I would probably say it's not. Wouldn't say like maybe like trashy per se, but just kind of like outside of my element is Naked and Afraid, which is a survival show about people who are paired up.
You watching that?
Yeah, I like my it's a survivalist show, and it's interesting, even though they're like in different elements, whether they're like, you know, in the middle of like Fiji or somewhere in Africa. So they have all of these different environmental factors and animal factors that come into it, and I don't know, it's interesting. What about you? What's yours?
Well, I've seen the commercials for it, and it seems to me like it's a lot of emotions while people are naked.
Yes.
And so, as like on a whole, I try to avoid both of those things, like emotion and the other. So I feel like it could be just a lot, like for me to personally take it. Because when I watch those kind of shows, like Bear Grylls was a lot for me, because even Bear Grylls with celebrities, because I think to myself, no, I would not like to do that.
Yeah. We'll watch an episode, because it is interesting, because they like they have to like find their own, you know, water, and they're in, again, like totally remote area. So I don't know. I think they're there for like 21 days. I would like to think that I would last long, but I don't know. I don't think so.
I would not last long. Do they get to take anything with them? Because I would need to take my coffee grinder.
Yeah.
Like, it would be a whole thing.
They get to take one thing with them. So it seems like the norm is a fire starter or some type of like
it makes
like
sense.
hatchet or like knife.
That feels like it'd make more sense than like a coffee grinder, and I guess they'd have to have a French press since I wouldn't have any electricity.
I think if you show up with
that's probably
the partner that you're paired up with might be worried and disappointed.
They're going to be disappointed on numerous levels. My survival skills are nil to none, but that's amazing. That's something I didn't know about you. But I will say, if we ever we're in a survivalist situation, I will now pick you on my team.
I'll keep watching.
I don't know if you would pick me. I don't know if you'd pick me, but I would definitely pick you.
I'll always pick you.
Okay, so let's get into it. This kind of started because I know since you're in compensation, you always get people asking you, I'm thinking about talking to my employer, how do I do it, etc. So where do you start?
Sure. Well, I think that as an employee talking to your manager about your compensation, just like it can be for managers to talk to their employees, it's at times uncomfortable just because it involves money. It involves kind of putting yourself, you know, on the line, but they're important conversations. And when I have someone come to me to say, hey, I would love to talk to my manager about this. Can you help provide some guidance around this conversation? There are a few different recommendations I'll make to them that can help facilitate those conversations. One being, stick to the facts when you have those conversations with your manager. market data, or if you as an employee even have that information, whether it's actual market data or if it's something that you self-research, which has a lot of different variables that go into it. That data can be interpreted in a variety of ways. So it's best to prepare to have a conversation more around your personal contributions to the established business objectives.
So when we talk about objectives and we talk about, in an ideal world, we would teach employees to have these conversations with their managers, especially when we talk about pay equity, because we know that women have a tendency to leave before they discuss compensation. On a whole, not each individual woman out there, that these types of conversations can really contribute to that equitable decision and help you retain talent. So what kind of objective measures of their performance would you look to?
Well, I think aside from just what you have outlined on, your performance review, I think as an employee to point out, which, may or may not already be established between you and your manager, hopefully it is, but highlight ways that your role has evolved or increased since your last pay increase. So for example, did you gain direct reports since your last increase? Has your department or business area changed? What major responsibilities have you taken on since your last increase? And highlight high performance reviews in the past if available. If you're having a conversation that's highlighting your most recent review and your review is glowing, then point that out. And likewise, always highlight significant achievements since your last increase, especially those that were operational driven. So for example, did you participate in any new system implementations and rollouts? Any company-wide initiatives that you are a key lead on? And focus on your most recent and historical performance. If you're a high performer, you'll obviously have a better chance of receiving an increase. And more, task-oriented, make sure your job description is 100% up to date. That goes to managers too. As companies evolve, naturally roles are going to evolve. I'm sorry. And so ensuring that your job description really encompasses your overall role and encompasses those changes. Those are my usually my go-to points of bringing up conversation to a manager.
I think those are great. So we've talked about the do's for the training. Can we talk about the don'ts for the training? So what shouldn't employees do? So for example, an employee shouldn't come with emotional calculus to the conversation. Mm-hmm. Like I feel and I want. It should be more stated facts, stated objectives. Do you have any others? What shouldn't they bring?
Sure. I think that sometimes conversation is obviously very emotionally charged. And so it's hard to take the emotion totally out of it when you are advocating for yourself, whether it's with compensation or anything else. But with compensation, something that I have tried to, do myself and encourage others to do is when you're talking to your manager, have it as an exploratory conversation. So that includes reframing some of your questions. So maybe instead of saying, why didn't I get a larger bonus or increase, changing it to, what are my career growth opportunities? And for this example, it changes it from the past of why didn't I get a bonus to the future to what exactly can I do to get there? So then you receive that information of, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z. So that way you can take that in your future conversation, say, I did X, Y, and Z. Now what? So you're setting yourself up for the future and you're figuring out, here's exactly what I need to do. Also, it gives you opportunities to clarify what you need for that compensation growth. Some companies fail to inform their employees about potential pay growth in their current job and other positions on their career path. So as a manager, it's really important for you to reiterate to your employees, okay, here's where you can go. And on the flip side, making sure they understand that all roles might not be on their career path. If there's another area they want to explore, so maybe encourage that, but also explain to them that that might change their career, you know, pathway if that's something they're interested in.
That is really great advice. I knew you would have it. So I just want to say thank you so much, because I think we've reached our time. But again, just to reiterate that teaching employees how to have difficult conversations heads off a lot of angst and anxiety and loss of talent in the future. So take that as you will.
Thanks,
All right,
Brooke.
thank you.
Talk to you later.